Hey there, MotoAmerica fans. This is Paul Carruthers, and this is MotoAmerica's weekly podcast, Off Track with Carruthers and Bice. I'm joined today, as always, by Sean Bice, who's out in Ohio. I'm in Southern California, but we're separated by thousands of miles, but we're close. How's things today, Sean?
It's like two hearts beating as one, Paul. That's what it is. I'm doing great. It's nice to catch our breath a little bit and get ready for these last couple of rounds of the season that are going to be back to back in September, and gives us a chance to set the stage for what's coming up. So it's good. I'm in good shape. How about you?
Yeah, it's good. I enjoy the. I was just speaking to the guest a little bit, but it's nice to have a little bit of a summer break, and it's the perfect time to do so around here. I mean, the weather's always awesome, and it's nice being at the beach and stuff in August and early September. So no, it's kind of cool. And like you said, we get to catch our breath a little bit and gear up for the finale, which is basically 2 weekends in a row. So we'll be back to back. I'm gonna stay back there. I'm not gonna do the fly home Monday and fly back Wednesday thing just to do laundry. I can do that in a hotel or something. But yeah, so we'll make a little bit of a road trip out of it. Some of the other MotoAmerica people will obviously stay back there. So yeah, it'll be kind of cool. And New Jersey's always, I think, very interesting as far as the racing goes. I think that it's always close there, and you never really know what's going to happen there, because sometimes we get some weather, and that place is a bit slippery in the wet. We'll talk to our guest about that, because he knows full well what the track's like when it's wet. And then we go down to Barber, and I mean, it's the most beautiful place we probably go to, or at least one of. So it's a good place to end. And we'll do our season-ending banquet, and it'll wrap it up. And it seems to me, for some reason this year, it just seems to have gone by really quickly.
I completely agree with you. It's crazy how fast it went by. It's nuts. And we started a lot, you think about last year with COVID. I mean, we started later. That went quick too, but boy, it sure did go quick this year. It's incredible.
Yeah, it's been quick. So let's we'll bring our guest in here. Our guest today is Rocco Landers. He's a 3-time MotoAmerica champion, 2 junior cups and a twin cup. And he's actually the sort of the poster child for how things are supposed to go in MotoAmerica, as far as starting young and working your way through junior cup. And then he chose to do twins cup and junior cup in the same season, was able to still win both championships. And now he's graduated to the Supersport class. He's had 4 podiums already, 3 in a row, and he's 4th in points and just 7 points behind Sam Lockoff for 3rd in the championship. So I think it was funny, because going into this season, I mean, we're so used to Rocco just dominating every place that he's gone. But I mean, I knew that wasn't going to happen in Supersport. I mean, it's a whole nother step, and it's very difficult. And you've got Sean Dillon Kelly and Richie Escalante are just a little bit ahead of everybody at this point in time. So I knew it wasn't going to be a thing where Rocco could just jump into Supersport and start winning. But I think he's done really well. I think he's progressed, as like I said, he's had the podiums in the last 3 races. So I think he's taking the right path to be successful. And I think he knows what he has to do to get to that next level, which is Sean Dillon and Richie. So we're going to talk to Rocco now. How are you today, Rocco?
I'm all right. How are you guys doing?
We're hanging in there.
Yep.
A couple of old guys. So you're out in Los Angeles and enjoying a little bit of a summer break, but I'm sure you're itching to get back on your motorcycle, because that's what motorcycle racers want to do.
Yeah. I mean, I have been training a lot. I haven't really gotten off the bike since Brainerd, really. I've just been riding all the time. I've got a week off now, but hopefully we're going to get up and do track day this weekend, and keep training and keep doing physical training and keep losing weight.
Yeah, Rocco, it sure does look like you do a lot of training. It's funny. I knew that Chris Parrish was sticking around after our round at Pit Race to race in that wear round. So I decided to go on there and just kind of look, and I didn't realize you were going to be there. So all of a sudden I'm going through the classes and I see Rocco Landers at the top of several of the classes there. So it's cool that you stuck around too. You did 2 weekends in a row at Pit Race and definitely got a lot of seat time last weekend. So you had an awesome weekend, huh? You won a lot of races.
Yeah, it was fun. We just kept working on setup, and we made a few changes and had some nice breakthroughs. Like this whole year, we've just been struggling. Like we didn't find a setup I actually liked with the bike until Brainerd. Like it was okay at Laguna, but Laguna was probably our first sort of breakthrough weekend. But once we found something, I was able to run similar lap times to leaders and hang in the lap times longer than almost anyone. That's what my strong point has been this year, is fast in the last few laps. Even if it's not as fast as Sean or Richie, I'm usually the top 3 fastest. So, yeah.
It seems like it's been your main issues, as I think you know, is you haven't just been able to get off the line with those guys, and you end up putting yourself in a hole and working around other guys until you do get to third, and then those guys are, they're down the road a piece. So is that something that you need to work on, is the starts and the early race pace?
Yeah, my starts actually, like the beginning of the year, my starts were actually pretty bad. I've kind of figured it out, but like I got 2 really good starts at Brainerd. Like I actually led in turn 3, but it almost hasn't been the start itself. Like it is. I feel like my weight kind of has held me back a little bit on that. That's why I'm continuing to lose weight to get more in shape. But one thing or another, like something will happen. Like I remember at VIR, I got a decent start, but then I ran really wide and won. And then at Pitt, I got a pretty okay start. It wasn't amazing, but I was probably going to go into turn 3, 4th, or 5th. But over 2, I kind of got pushed out and went over the grass and lost a couple positions. It's just been like funky little things that have happened. And sometimes I just get a standard bad start, but I've got a few good ones, and they're getting overall way, way better as I get used to the bike.
Let's talk a little bit about you. I know you've done a lot of training and you've changed your program a lot, because I don't want to say you turned into a chunky little kid, but you did.
I did.
I think we all get to that point where, like, when you are a little kid, you don't have to do anything and you stay a little kid. Then you reach a certain point where you start to go, oh my God, I'm getting a little chunky here and I need to train. And you took that by the horns, and you've done something about it, and your physical appearance is obviously different, and you've lost a lot of weight. It helps a lot on the motorcycle, right?
Yeah, my heaviest was at VIR. Like last year, I grew a lot. I could kind of eat what I wanted, but I was growing up, so I didn't really have to train, and whenever I was hungry, I could eat kind of whatever. I wouldn't really gain much weight, but that changed about probably October, September last year. I stopped growing, and I stopped being able to eat what I wanted, and I gained a whole bunch of weight. And I really didn't start taking care of that until VIR, until I realized that I was just losing so much. And I did some training, lost a little weight, did some more training, lost a little more weight, and eventually I've got where now I've lost 14 pounds. So
Right.
Oh,
I'm continuing to lose. I got to lose another 15 or 20 pounds, but we're gonna get down there.
So did you have to park the Reese's peanut butter cups for a while?
Yeah, I haven't had one of those probably since before Atlanta. Oh yeah, no, I had one after Atlanta.
I'll have one this afternoon later and think of you.
oh, geez.
Yeah, please do. Just tell
That's
me it
brutal.
tasted really bad.
That's brutal. Hey, Rocco, so I want to ask you kind of about Supersport. This is a little bit of a 2-part question a little bit, but let me throw this out there. So when you went into Supersport, kind of before you went there, what your expectations were versus what you found out, and then compared to when riding in Junior Cup and in Twins Cup, did it, looking back at Twins Cup and looking back at Junior Cup, and you were younger, I get that, but did it seem easier than it is in Supersport? And is Supersport harder than you thought it would be, or is it about what you thought? And did you expect this? I'm not just going to walk into this class and, win the championship in the first year. Tell us about that whole thing, if you would.
Yeah, it's been a learning year. Like I didn't ride I rode Melissa Paris's bike one time, but that was in December, I think. But then the first time I rode my R6 was first practice of the Daytona 200. So I really had, I didn't have a lot of, I think I rode the bike itself 4 times before the beginning of the season, like 4 different weekends, like a couple club races, a track day here and there. Like I did the Dakota test. I didn't get a ton of track time at all in all. So it was actually, we showed up to Atlanta without much development, and we really had no setup that I liked, and we were just bouncing all around and trying to figure something out. We had a good race on Sunday in Atlanta. I did get on the podium there, but then we had a bit of a drought for a while there. Like we were just struggling, and I feel like everyone else kind of had their development down. Most of the people who have been racing, who are at the front, either have a bike that's been raced and has lots of development, or have ridden that bike for a year or whatnot. So I knew after Atlanta, I knew at VIR, whenever I saw the speed of everyone else, I think I got 5th and 4th that weekend. I knew it was gonna be kind of hard. And I never really expected to go in guns blazing and win every race. I knew I was gonna push, but the moment I saw the pace of Sean and Richie at the Dakota test, and I rode with Sean at Daytona, and just realized the bike does not have a lot of development. Our bike does not, because I mean, we got it, and we've had help from a lot of people, but it was by no means perfect until like Laguna started to get together. But now I'm really loving the bike. It's working really well for me. We're still working out a few small things, but it's going better and better and better.
So looking back at Junior Cup and at Twins Cup, and you were a different person than you are now. I get that. So it might be tough to say, but do you look back at that and say, man, that was kind of easy compared to what I'm doing now?
Definitely. And both times I raced, like in 2019, I rode the bike for an entire off season, every round of Chuckwalla. I did probably close to 100 track days before round 1 on that bike. And I rode it almost every weekend in between. So I was getting lots of track time and lots of development in 19, and I had help from a few people who had been working with the bike for a year or so. And then in 2020, obviously, I was riding that Team Hammer Twin, and that thing had lots of development from the year before. We improved it more and more throughout the year, but at round 1, there was already a really good bike that really didn't need much working on. And it was the same with my 400 last year. Like we continue to improve it. I grew a lot from 19 to 20. So a few things changed. I had to change my style a little bit, but it was a lot easier to race in those classes and to win in those classes. And I knew it was gonna be a big step up to race in 600s, but I'm really pretty happy with how it's going right now.
So you as you mentioned, you did get a good start at least one of the races, and you even led. What is when you're with those guys, Richie and Sean Dillon especially, do you see like, is it just little pieces that they're getting you, or is it a big area? There's one big area where they're gaining a lot of time, or is this chipping away?
It's like chipping away. There's a few things that they do different than me. Like they enter the corner. They enter the corner a little slower than I do, but like they like mid corner, they get the bike stopped and turned and get out. Like I'm still changing my riding style to suit the 600, because I'm still kind of sounds funny, but I'm still riding it like I would ride the Twin or the 400, sort of like a lot of entrance speed, a lot of mid corner speed, use a lot of track, but that's not the way you ride one. And I'm still getting used to it. And I'm still like, it's kind of hard, because when I go to a track that I don't know well, my modus operandi is to go do the 400 and 650 lines.
Right, that makes sense.
But then it makes it kind of difficult to get fast right off the bat. And whenever I'm around them, usually it'll change, but sometimes I'm not around them until the race, and then I have to like think on the fly and work.
So you're having a good season in Supersport. It's your first season in Supersport. What is this? What is this? Where does this lead you, do you think? I mean, do you need another year of Supersport? Would you think about jumping to stock 1000? Does it depend on other outside factors? what's the plan going forward from here, or do we not have one yet?
Well, we're not sure what we're gonna do next year. We've got some ideas, but we're not entirely sure. We're just going from race to race right now. We're gonna train a ton this off season, and just keep pushing and hopefully get better results next year. But we're not sure what we're gonna do yet, but hopefully soon we'll have some ideas and be able to let you know.
Yeah, we'll be anxious to find out about that, Rocco. And we always know you're looking at opportunities kind of globally for what's going on. So, but we always hope you stay in our paddock, not only because of your skills, but you're terrific to have around anyway. So, speaking of that, this next question. So, we've always seen you around the paddock. You're great about, being friendly with a lot of the riders and encouraging them. And this morning I was actually on Brian J. Nelson's website, and I was looking around for some photos, and I came across these ones of you on the wall earlier in the season. I don't remember which round it was, but Matthew Skoltz was with you. And it surprised me a little bit because I didn't even know. I mean, I know Matthew talks to riders and you talk to riders. I didn't know that he looked like he may have been giving you some advice or talking to you. And how much do you seek out, or do they come to you? I mean, how does that work? Does Matthew help you? And what other riders in the paddock do you seek the advice of, or do they come up to you and talk to you about, your racecraft or whatever?
Yeah, sometimes I'll have questions. I think I actually remember what you're talking about is Atlanta during race 2 after the first start, because they red flagged it. I got a terrible start that round. That was my worst start of the year. I got on turn 1 from 3rd to 9th or 10th. And he was there and he came up to me. He's like, hey, just try this, lean forward a little bit more. And it actually got my next start was a little bit better. And just from what he told me, I continue to work on it. My starts were okay at BIR and pretty okay at MotoAmerica. I'm still getting used to it, but sometimes I'll go I'll see someone, I'll be like, hey, what are you doing here? What are you doing there? Or sometimes just they'll happen to walk up and say hi. I've always been friendly with Matty. I met him in 19 when I was doing Junior Cup for the first year, and he was always happy to help with any questions I had, and he'll help me. He's trained with me a few times and help me work out. Yeah, everything.
That's great. It's funny. That photo reminded me, and now that you say about the starts, it's interesting with Matthew because he's struggled for a bit with starts, but he's really gotten a lot better at doing that too. So it's probably something he's sort of learned. And it's like, man, I can definitely help Rocco with that knowledge because I just kind of had to solve it myself. So that's interesting. So I want to ask you about your team this year. It's awesome that you guys have a 2-rider team and you've got Ben Glotty on your team in Junior Cup, who I absolutely think the world of, like I do you. And it's cool that you guys are there together. I mean, you've raced together in the past, but now he's in a different class than you are. And he's right in the pointy end there battling with Tyler Scott and is on the verge of possibly winning the championship if he can, keep himself ahead of Tyler. And what is the dynamic like within that team? And I mean, do you talk to him a lot in terms of, what you've learned from Junior Cup, or are you guys just a couple of boys that hang out together and you don't really need to help him too much? He knows what he's doing. Tell us about what that dynamic is like.
Yeah, I met Ben in 2019 as well when he was riding for Quarterly Racing. I think I met him at Utah in his first round, but we really didn't become friends until New Jersey of 2019. We went and hung out at Gus Rodeo's house and had some fun, but after that we were fast friends, and we would just hang out. And then in 2020, I would see him at every round, and we knew he wanted to do the Junior Cup again. He was hoping to win the championship, and him and his mom were talking to my dad, or him and his mom were talking to my dad, and my dad. They knew my dad could run a successful Junior Cup program. And since he and I were friends, it made it all the more convenient. So I think mid-year last year, they started working out plans to possibly work with us. And then Ben came out and trained with us a bit in January of 2020 or 2021, 7 months ago. and kind of just went on from there. And eventually he was coming out and testing our bike and doing club races, and then now he's riding for us.
It's amazing how much you guys have both grown over the past couple of years, though. You're both tall. Is Ben a little bit taller than you right now?
Pardon?
Is Ben a little bit taller than you? He's like over 6 foot now. Are you?
Yeah, I think Ben's like 6 foot, 6'1".
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's funny because when we started racing MotoAmerica, I think when I started racing MotoAmerica, I was 4'10" or 4'11", and when I was 14, and now I'm 5'11", and Ben was probably, when he started racing, it was mid-year.
Yeah,
So
he started at Utah.
He and I were probably about the same height, so we were both probably about 5 foot, 5'1". Now he's like 6'1", and I'm 5'11". So,
yeah, it's crazy how, I mean, you think about, I say this all the time, but I mean, it's you, it's Ben, of course, Nolan Lampkin's super tall, Jake Lewis. There's a lot of tall riders a lot more tall riders now than there used to be. I don't know. It's got to be something with GMOs in the milk or whatever's going on.
Yeah, whatever it is. Yeah.
Better nutrition. But, and does it bother you? Because it's funny. Some kids, all they want to do is be tall, but it seems like a lot of racers I talk to, all they want to do is not be tall.
I don't want to be tall, but I mean, what am I going to do?
Right. You can't do anything about it. But we've seen, obviously Loris Baz is 6'5" or whatever he is. We've seen it, and Matthew's not small either. So
no, Matthew's bigger than I am.
Yeah. So these guys can handle the bike, and obviously Jake Lewis, now that he's back with us again, is doing fine. So it's got to be a good incentive for you to not worry about the height.
Yeah, it's one of those. It's like a double-edged sword. Being taller would naturally makes you heavier and larger, so you aren't going to get the same. I'll never be as light as someone like Cameron Bobier or Gus Rodio, or one of those people who's 5'6" or 5'7" and pretty small. And I'm naturally a bigger dude as well. Like I naturally build muscle pretty easily, and I've always been kind of strong, which again is also a double-edged sword. Like, build muscle easily, so I gain weight pretty quickly, but I also naturally am strong. So
that's great.
I have like the opposite of like the Spanish racer, the average Spanish racer. They're like 5'1", super skinny, and they have to work out a ton and just get strong enough to ride. I do no upper body working out. I just do push-ups. I do light calisthenics, but I mostly just do cardio because I need to lose weight. I need to be as small as possible because, yeah.
Yeah, and as you know, I'm sure building muscle's denser and heavier than even fat sometimes. So it's kind of like, that'll make you heavy just if you're got more muscle bound.
Yeah.
So I want to ask you, when you went to Pittsburgh for our race, did you go in there with the intention that you knew you were going to be racing where the next weekend? What was your plan in between?
So we heard from the California Superbike School that we were going to go, that they were going to go there. So we were going to go there already or I was going to go there with them for the Monday, Tuesday Superbike schools. But one of my coaches there, James Toohey, and a couple other ones named Ian Ingroom, and the mechanic there named JJ, they were going to do an endurance race, and then we were into endurance race. So I actually was going to go ride with them in that. We were doing pretty well, but we had a light mechanical and pushed us back a little ways. And then we happened to have my bike there and just did the endurance races. Then my mom and dad actually, and the rest of my family ended up coming home, and I stayed for the Monday, Tuesday Superbike schools.
Well, talking about your family, that brings me into my next question. It's like it's obviously a real family affair, your racing program, from sisters and mom and dad and the whole crew is surround you, and they all seem to have some sort of role in your racing program. I mean, your dad, well, both your mom and dad, they seem like they work nonstop towards this. Is that how it actually is?
Yeah, definitely. The whole family does. Like, ever since I started racing, we always would all come to the track and now my sister's racing in the Ovales as well.
Right.
Mini Cup.
Bandit. Right. Yeah.
Yep. She's riding the Ovales now. She's having fun. She's improving every round. She's getting closer and closer. I guarantee she's having more fun than anyone else out there.
Well, it's funny. I don't know if I talked to your dad or who it was, but you can tell this story. Rocco, your sister Bandit, she wasn't sure if she wanted to race, I think. And then she kind of got into it and realized how much she liked it. Is that kind of the way it went?
Well, she actually used to race pocket bikes for a while, but she stopped when she was 5 and she's 12 now. So she quit 7 years ago. Like, she did it for 2 years. She was actually kind of fast. My dad used to run this mini racing organization that I raced. She would race the pocket bikes. And my other sister rode as well. But when we stopped doing that, they both kind of quit racing. They've done a few flat track races here and there, as has my brother. But never really anything until she, like, I think we ended up going to Apex Kart Track actually one time with a 65. Oh no, we went to the AMA Supermoto race in Arizona last year and brought a KTM 65 for her to ride. And she rode that, had a ton of fun. And then when I would go to Apex and train or go to Adams or whatever, the kart tracks, we would always bring her with myself and Kensei, and sometimes my brother would come and just buzz around, but she would always have fun. She improved every time. She'd ride Kensei's Ovale. She'd ride the KTM 65. She would always just have more and more fun. She'd go faster and faster and faster. And she wasn't sure she wanted to do Mini Cup until, and we basically showed up to Mini Cup. We rented a bike from a friend of ours named Ed Enriquez and showed up to Road America, and she was just going to do the Friday Friday practice and see if she wanted to race. And if she wanted to race, she was going to race. Otherwise, she wasn't going to, and she wasn't sure because she was afraid she wasn't going to be. She was afraid it was going to be a bit gnarly. But she went out. She had a ton of fun. She went pretty fast on her first day, and she raced on Saturday. And then she's gotten closer and closer every round. And everyone there, like I said, I guarantee she's having more fun than anyone else out there.
So Rocco, with 2 races left in your rookie season of Supersport, we go to New Jersey Motorsports Park and we go to Barber. Is one of those? Do you look forward to one of those more than the other based on how you think you'll do?
Yeah, definitely looking more forward to Jersey because that's a track I truly enjoy. What's funny is Barber is one of those tracks for me that I've always done fairly good at, but I have absolutely hated every time I ride there.
Oh, that's weird. A lot of people like it.
Track. But it's sort of like, it's kind of fun. Like, I do well there. Like, I've won every race I've ever ridden there. But it's just, I don't like the way the track goes. I don't like the flow of it. A track like New Jersey, where every corner kind of ties together pretty well, I feel like it's going to be really strong for myself and my bike. Barber, I'm looking forward to Barber as well, though, just because it's a track and I get to race there.
Oh, I want to mention one thing. So I want to go back to your family for a second. Paul had mentioned how, your mom and dad are so focused and engaged in your program. And, we talked about your sister Bandit racing in Mini Cup. So I think I have this right. You have another sister who is also getting extremely tall. And I noticed at pit race, she's usually out where she stands out on the wall beside your mom, who's holding up your pit board. It looks like she's helping out your mom at the same time. Is that correct, Rocco?
Yeah, she wanted to help out with something. So my dad said she could do the pit board, and she got to hold the umbrella on the grid at Pittsburgh as well. She's having a lot of fun. Are
you the oldest or is she the oldest?
I'm the oldest. She's 2 years younger than me.
Okay, so you're the oldest in the family, and you're kind of your brothers and sisters are kind of following in your footsteps. What's that like? Do you feel any kind of, I don't know, responsibility to show these guys like it's fun, or do you feel like you want to try to get them involved, or you just let them do their own thing? How does that work?
I kind of let them do their own thing. Like my brother and my sister, and the older sister is 14. She's never, like, she rode a little bit, but it's never really been what she wants to do. And she never like she enjoyed riding, but racing was not her thing. And same with my brother. He likes to ride. He says he wants to get into racing, possibly. So he might actually be riding mini cup possibly next year if he ends up training enough in the off season. But that my sister is holding the pit board. She's it's never been her thing. She has a lot of stuff she does, and she has her things, but racing is not one of them. But she's always fun to ride.
That's awesome. And I mean, it's cool about I think your little brother's name is Diesel, right?
Yep.
It's so he's got to get into motorsports in some way, although a diesel wouldn't be the best thing to be on, but it's an awesome name anyway. So
yeah.
All right, Sean, we're gonna let Rocco. He's got a training session after this where he's gonna go do a run. What kind of run do you do? Like what's the length we at on this?
13 miles.
Oh, that's good.
wow.
Very
solid. I'm gonna do some calisthenics.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do some push-ups. I'm gonna do some jumping jacks. I'm gonna do some light stuff for about an hour. Then I'm gonna probably go swimming this afternoon.
Oh, that's good. That's a good little program. That obviously what you've been doing is working, so keep it up.
Yeah. Now the hardest part's eating. I can't eat till 1 p.m. Starving.
Yeah, I bet. It's called breakfast. So Rocco, thanks for joining us, and we'll obviously see you in a couple of weeks here, and we'll see if we can recognize you if you're not too skinny.
Yeah. Thanks for having me, guys. Always fun.
Yeah, thanks for being on, Rocco. And I want to tell the fans a couple things. So, as I always make my appeal about the need for corner workers, and I'm still going to continue to do that. We've got these 2 rounds coming up in September at New Jersey and at Barber, and we have a volunteer system for that. And, I'll just flat out say it. We've had a couple bikes burned to the ground that if we had a few more corner workers, I don't know if it could have stopped that, but it might have helped. And, we're always needing them. And David Hawley, our chief corner marshal, has said we can never have enough corner workers. He's never had a situation where there have been too many. So absolutely, if you want to get involved in that, again, it's the best seat in the house. And, New Jersey is a great track to see. And obviously Barber, the place is like a park there. So it's a great, enjoyable way to spend the afternoon and help us out. And I also want to give you guys a heads up on something coming up on Labor Day. We're going to be doing a Labor Day promotion. So look for our social media. We'll have some codes or a code you can put in to get some percentages off on race tickets to select races. And, we've got these last 2 coming up. So I'm assuming that, these are savings on those. So absolutely look for that, and you'll be able to save some money on your tickets. And again, thanks for joining us, Rocco, and thanks to all.
Yeah, you're good. Thank you.
All right, guys, you have a good week.
All right.
You too.
Bye.
Bye-bye.